Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I want to have an open discussion with you all, and I want to tell you guys my opinion on why I think people hate Gibson guitars. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, before I get into this, dare I say, hot take, if you're brand new to my channel or you've yet to hit that subscribe button, please do so. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much in advance. And if you're a returning viewer and subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to hang out with me. It means a lot. Now, with that being said, let's get into this bit of a debate, hot topic, general discussion. Before I give you guys my opinions on why I think people hate Gibson so much, leave your opinions down below in the comments. Why you think they get so much hate, so much flack, so much criticism. Leave them down below, and I'll meet you down below in the comments, and we'll mix it up, and we'll have a nice, cordial debate, alright? So the hating of Gibson guitars, at least in my own personal life, is a relatively new thing in the grand scheme of things. If I take you back to my youth, when I was like 10, 11 years old, when I was really getting into playing guitar for the first time, talking like 2002, 2003, 2004. You know, it seemed at this time Gibson guitars was on top of the world. Now, granted, we're using my 12-year-old little boy memory, but it just seemed like, you know, from Guitar World magazine to just, you know, reading all the articles with all the different rock stars talking about their gear, etc. Gibson, in my opinion, was just like, you know, was killing it. They were the kings, right? Well, tied for kings along with Fender. And, you know, Fender and Gibson have been, you know, at the forefront, at least in my entire life, as, you know, who's the best, most popular brand. So, anyway, all I'm trying to say is Gibson was up there. If they weren't number one, they're certainly close behind at number two, okay? But then it was around, like, I don't know, like, God, when did it even start? I don't know. If I had to put a date on it, I would say like 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. Where Gibson guitars, the price just started to go up, and then they started to do like some weird things, you know, trying to be modernized without really fixing any sort of problems or creating problems that weren't even there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like the whole push-pull pots and the weight relief. People always argue about that. The chambered bodies even going way more extreme. The dip switches, you know, etc., etc. Then they went bankrupt, and then long story short, they wiped out their entire catalog and then revitalized the company in 2019 and came out with the 50s and 60s spec and that whole thing. And then, you know, now here we are today. And the reason why I'm inspired to make this video is because Gibson was in the news this past week about their prices going up. They jacked up the prices on presumably all their guitars by give or take $200. Now, I don't care who you are, $200 is a lot of money, right? But it just seems like whenever Gibson does something, everybody just has to hate them. You know what I mean? I think what people don't really make a big fuss of is like all prices across the board are all, you know, jacked up, man. I don't know if it's because of what's going on in the world or what, but man, it's just like prices are so expensive with every single guitar out there. I mean, a brand new Jim Root signature model is close to $2,000, whereas like a couple years ago, it was like under $1,500. And when they came out about a decade ago, they were even less than that, to the best of my knowledge. Anyway, man, my point is, it's just like all prices are going up, but because Gibson's prices went up, it's just like, you know, everybody starts freaking out, you know what I mean, and making those noises. But seriously, man, it's just like everybody has to freak out about it. And that is just the latest example of, you know, when Gibson does something, everybody has to hate him and everybody has to throw their opinion, you know, into the pot, so to speak, or whatever, you know, weird analogy you want to make. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, no matter what Gibson does, good or bad, everybody has to think negatively on them. I mean, we can all remember what happened in 2019, the catastrophe that was that whole marketing campaign, right? And you know, it certainly got people really, really angry, myself included. But you know, as I've matured as a musician and as an artist and as a content creator, I've learned not to get so much, you know, into the drama and the hype train of, you know, following, you know, what's the narrative of the guitar community. You know, like I certainly got caught up in that, you know, back then. Like I said, I've matured a little bit, but, you know, we could certainly agree that Gibson, in recent past, has certainly done some things to cause a lot of hate, right? Or what about even that one time where they took all the Firebirds and just ran them over with like a bulldozer or whatever? Oh man, that was wild. Why'd they do that, right? You know, and that didn't look good. Why? Yeah, you know, like, you know, that certainly was a marketing catastrophe as well, right? So yes, I'm highlighting some of the flaws and mistakes, we'll call them, that Gibson has created. So people certainly have a right to hate them. But in my own opinion, I think the main reason why they receive so much hate and criticism is because of this, and this is my big point right here. I think, generally speaking, people love to hate Gibson and choose to hate Gibson and choose to be really hard on Gibson is because I really think people want them to succeed. Yes, let me say that again. I think people want Gibson to succeed. generally speaking. Now, there's going to be some diehard haters that want them to fail and go bankrupt and, Gibson guitars to never make another guitar ever again. There's people out there. Hey, that's your opinion. You're entitled to that. But I really think people, generally speaking, would love to see Gibson continue to succeed, or succeed in a way that they see fit in their own individual head. You know what I mean? Overall, regardless of what an individual thinks Gibson should do, I think everybody would love to see them to succeed and have no bad PR, no press that, puts a black eye on the company, right? Now, where I'm coming from personally is, like, again, going back to when I was a kid, granted, I didn't know anything about the world when I was 12, but, I just remember Gibson just being, like, the top of the, top tier. Like, everybody wanted a Gibson. Gibson was so desirable back then. They are desirable now, but even more so, you know what I mean? Like, this is 20 years ago, and it just seems like Gibson, the name Gibson is not as prestige anymore, and it's certainly a bit lackluster anymore. Even though they're still doing some cool things in present day, I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. And so I think a lot of people feel the way I do, in the sense that, like, we want Gibson to do cool things, and we want them to make smart decisions. Again, easy for me to say. But generally speaking, I think people want Gibson to do cool things again, and awesome things that make the company, as prestigious and as cool and as just well received and well accepted as it once was back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And I think people are so critical on the company because they're so protective and they want to see it do well. I really think that's what it is. Now, I think the recent price increase has nothing to do with anything other than that they just got to keep up with the world. Like I said, all the prices across the board with all guitars are expensive, man. Amps included, pedals, etc. Everything's just getting so expensive anymore. So I don't think Gibson's like trying to get one over on us. Like, haha, we'll charge you $200 more for our Les Paul or whatever. I just think they're just keeping up with the times. But again, it's just like, I'll say it again, when Gibson does something like that, for example, increase the prices, it's just like, Gibson's, they're trying to rip us off again or whatever. And I don't think that's the case. I just think, again, they just got to keep up with the times and keep up with the supply and demand of the wood and the electronics, etc., right? But I really think people want Gibson to succeed. And I also think, too, it's kind of like the New England Patriots of back in the day with Brady and Belichick, or like the New York Yankees when Derek Jeter was on the team. Like, they had a ton of haters because they were the best. And I think Gibson has a lot of haters because they're the best, or damn near close to the best. So it's like, again, whenever they do something, people certainly have their opinions. But I really think people would love to see Gibson succeed, have no bad PR, do something that would, I don't even know what they could do. Maybe just make like some more, I don't know. I don't even know what they could do, man. It's so hard to like even think about what Gibson could do to make them better and make them not as hated or receive as much hate as they do whenever they do anything. I don't know, man. That's not my battle to fight, you know what I mean? Like, that seems like an impossible task. But I'll say it again one more time so we're all clear. I think people give Gibson the most amount of hate and the most amount of criticism because they all want him to succeed, and they don't want any more, catastrophic marketing flaws of 2018 and 2019. That's my own personal opinion. And the last thing I'll say is I've heard several people say to me, like on Instagram or in my YouTube comments, about like, Ray, don't you think you should not talk about Gibson's flaws because you really love their products and maybe one day you could be a Gibson artist? I've had this conversation with people. First off, I don't think that'll ever happen. I can't even put myself in that situation, in those shoes. But also too, man, like, I'm not gonna, hold my tongue for what I truly believe and what I want to talk about. Like, I still buy Gibson guitars and play Gibson guitars, and I'm still allowed to, I guess, talk about the things that, maybe aren't the best about the company. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel so much of a fan of Gibson, and I feel comfortable enough with the products and, the Les Paul specifically, that, like, I don't know, no matter what they do, unless it's, like, absolutely extremely terrible, like, I'm probably always going to buy and or play their guitars. So, like, I see no benefit for me to hold my tongue and talk about, the flaws of the company. So I just wanted to clear that up, and I appreciate you guys, being concerned or just curious about, where I stand on that. But like I said, man, I don't think that'll ever happen anyway. A boy can dream, right? But regardless, I'm still going to play their guitars, and I still am going to, talk about them as well, for better or for worse. So everybody, I hope this open discussion made sense, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. What do you guys think of my opinions? Leave your thoughts down below. Again, if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I am out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay metal. I'll see you guys next time. Later.